Commissioner Thursby just texted me, said he is on his way, so he'll be in just a minute there. All right, I want to welcome everybody today to the budget meeting for the city of Fort St. Joe for the 2017-18 budget cycle. What we wanted to do today was to focus on the water fund. We've got several big projects that are coming up in the water fund for this year. The first being water line replacement. What I wanted to do was we brought the map in to show what we replaced, where we're going with it. Next week, we open up our bids for the CDBG project, which will include the service area here. We don't know how much funding we're going to be able to accomplish in this. That's what we got to open up next week. But the hopeful areas are D, E, and F in one section, Avenue A is in one, and North Park is in area 2. So what we did was, this is the main focal point, D, E, and F is the main bid specs, but we also have alternates in there. So our plan is to open up bids next week, and then we're going to have a workshop with the board to look and see what we're going to be able to accomplish with that. We also have $80,000 coming in from the water management district that we're going to plan to utilize, hopefully to finish out areas that may or may not be included in the initial bid specs here. So that's a big one coming next week. Also, we're opening up our bids for water line replacement on Long Avenue for materials. So that'll be coming in as well. So that's two big areas there. We're working in water distribution in the water fund. The other areas that we're looking at is in reference to the filter replacement. We're looking at year 2. Last year we placed one set of sales. We have 4 sets, and we're looking at a 4-year plan on that. And last, water meter replacement. That's what we wanted to focus a lot of time on today because this is new. Our current water meters had a 10-year warranty on them, and they're slowly dying a slow death. We've not had money in the past to be able to put money back. We've been focusing on water line replacement, which we're coming close to the final phases on that, so we want to wrap that up. But what we're looking at is trying to put together a 3-year plan to go through that with you and see what's our best option for water meter replacement on it. And then last, what we want to do is we want to circle back to the general fund. We're within striking distance of balancing that fund. I think within just a few little tweaks, we can accomplish that pretty easy. Years past, we've had huge gaps. This year, we're down to very mixed.
Jim, back on the water meters, I know at conference last week, we ran into I ran into about 3 vendors. I'm not sure how many.
Yeah, those are 3 there.
But there's new technology out there. There's no moving parts. They're electronic. There's apps now where you can, the individual homeowner can see it. A lot of neat technology out there, so I'd really like for us to really look at some of that. It may not be affordable. I don't know. We'll just need to look at it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm with Commissioner Meyer. I'd like to see side by side a comparison on how much more, because I think the technology was very new when we first got into the water meter business. It's not, it may be about 25% more, but it'll allow the homeowner to manage their water. You won't have anyone coming up here saying I have a leak. Their phone's going to beep saying you have a leak. It's a pretty cool technology, and it's not that much more expensive. Plus the warranties were, I know some said 20-year warranty. There's no moving parts. It's plastic and a digital reader.
So if we escrow an amount for water meters, I think we should, might as well just go out and bid or request for RFQ or something of that nature, so we'll know. We already know what the other company charges us, and we're familiar with their meters, of course. But gosh, we can get something new for just a little bit more and be more user friendly for staff and the customers. I'm 100% with that.
One thing we're going to look at is software. Right now, Lighthouse Utilities uses the same type of equipment that we used to. We read their equipment. So right now, the guy goes out and reads the meters and gets all that data and it's downloaded in what's called Green Tree.
Right.
So one thing we're going to look at too is if we're only replacing a certain batch of them, we're going to have a hybrid with different types of software.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the kind of things that we've tried to look at the staff with on, and it may be an option. It may be that it's more cost effective and it's a better product. But initially looking at it, do we really want to have 2 different types of software, 2 different computers? How does that work? Integrate with Munis? Those are all questions. that we've got.
And Jim, I can speak to that. At least 2 out of the 3 that I spoke to, they are fully integrated with Munis. And the old meters that we have that still work can be retrofitted with the transmission software. Everything's modular. You can keep an old meter, put the new transmitter on, or you can, put in a new meter and read it the same way that you usually do. But either way, you're getting the part that's not mechanical. Right now, we're using mechanical wheels when we should be using digital technology.
I think the other end of that is, we're gonna have to sit down and figure out what ones we want to replace first, how many.
There's a lot of moving parts. What we're trying to do is just try to get a place setter to say, okay, we've got X number of dollars, $250,000, or whatever it is, to start looking at the process.
Okay.
We're just trying to get some money in the budget so we can, because we know this is a problem.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm going to let the mic so we can start going through some.
Is he talking about something
Sure.
different? Because I have questions about what he said.
Okay.
So when you were talking about the water line replacement, you don't know how much you're gonna be able to do. I would ask, has this project already been scoped out? What's the scope of the project?
Yes, ma'am.
And if there are certain things that are being done, right, are they not contingent upon, whatever the scope is, if part A is done, is it part B contingent upon part A? So when you say you don't know exactly how much would be able to be accomplished, I would want to know specifically, or when you guys are having a meeting, as to what is supposed to be accomplished for it to work properly, and what are you possibly thinking that could be left out?
Sure. What we did was, we went out for what's called a community development block grant. That's through DEO.
Yes.
We have been awarded that grant. It's
Okay.
basically $650,000
All right.
from the state. Okay, we had a little bit of extra money from the city too. So what we did was, we went out to bid. Right now, it's out for contracts, we're putting in bids for these areas. What we don't know is, we had service area 1, 2, and 3 in here. What we don't know is, how much are they gonna cover? A contract may come back and the lowest bid may say, we all wanna do this area for $650,000. That's what we don't know. We're hoping that we can cover most of it, but we don't know that until next week when the bids come in.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is on that same note.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry for interrupting, but if they're not at the speaker, I'm not picking them up, and I don't have any names.
Oh, okay.
She can get you on the recording.
I need names also.
Johnny Wright.
And Jack, right?
Yeah. Okay, speaking on that same format that you have right there,
Yes.
being that you guys are just starting with the pipes and everything, can't you use this system that you're talking about putting in? Being that
You're
it's
talking about with the new
it's-
meters?
Right.
Possibly.
How's you doing it? That's what I'm trying to say. And that way, it won't cost you no more money because you got to tear it down anyway.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Basically, what we're doing is, with the ones that we've been replacing in the past, what we do is you run a new service line up to the meter.
Exactly.
But actually replacing the meter itself, we haven't been doing all this problem. But absolutely, we gotta figure out exactly where we're gonna, which service area, which route.
Yeah, because we're already talking about, changing the infrastructure a little bit anyway, and bringing this in would kind of start platforming us over into what we're trying to do already.
We're trying to replace water lines, we're looking at trying to upgrade the meters on them, making replacements there. And we're also working at filters in the water plant to actually replace those over the next couple of years. So yes, sir, it all kind of.
Well, and Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, this block grant that we're getting, are we allowed to do work as a city to cut down on the cost? So if it does come back, we're not allowed with that grant?
We did twice the work, 3 years ago, John and his crew did it all for us. And we were, help me out, Jim, or Mike, but we did like twice the work for half the money. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
We looked into that thoroughly this year.
It's not
We
allowed
couldn't
to
do it, and
see
they
it.
will not escape without a bid, under CDBG rules that they have to replace now.
John, did you bid on it?
If I could, we would.
So, just along with Johnny's questions, okay, so the scope of work is just those 2 or 3 areas? It doesn't include, B and C have already been done?
Yes, ma'am.
Is
The
that
ones that
right?
are already, the light blue here.
Okay.
These have already been replaced. They were replaced in the last phase.
Okay,
So the ones that are in the different.
so we're in
colors here.
phase 2 of the scope of work. Okay, so if there's something that's left undone, it's gonna just obviously move into phase 3?
We have said we are committed to replacing all the water.
Do you have a
lines.
time frame?
What we have is, we're trying to get this completed here.
Sure.
Okay? We also have $80,000 that came from the water management district that we
Mhm.
have that we're gonna try to backfill some of these areas, and that we're hopeful between the two will accomplish everything here, but these folks up here have been committed to try to get it done. We're in the last, we've got about 80% out of the grant. So it's coming along nicely, but we still have some work to do.
And with this same old map right here, when you go to the pump house, you can almost go in and piggyback what you already did to the little wash area, to where you can have all of those on that digital device that you were speaking about.
Yeah, it's coming along. So
You're talking about after we get those done?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I told them, it'd be easy, it wouldn't be cost efficient also.
Yeah, cause you wouldn't have to go back and replace the meters.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something we need to do.
Look into it for sure.
Yeah, so I would think that when you go out for bid, you know what I mean, that would be one of the aspects or elements that are included in that bid.
And I totally agree with you, but
I'm just saying, you
no,
could
I
do
agree
the
with
way-
you 100%. But
Mhm.
what I am gonna say is like, when they give us these grants sometimes, it doesn't make sense to me that they don't include certain stuff. They won't let you change it.
Mhm.
I would think this would be a benefit to them and to us. It's a
Mhm.
money saving thing. And we're gonna ask, but you would be very surprised that the grants that they will give us tell us this is the way you gotta do it. You can't change it. There's no change orders in place.
Mm.
And then
Yeah, they're pretty strict.
5
with
years down the
it.
line, it's gonna cost the city.
Yeah, that's the way you write it, it's the way you write a proposal though.
We don't lie this, Johnny, they tell us.
Oh, okay, so.
Yeah,
We just ask for the CDBG grant and they tell us what laws will happen.
Okay, and then there's no change orders allowed, or would you be able to
No,
apply for a grant?
that's not always true.
Okay, I'm not
We
asking
gotta
question.
ask.
Okay,
Sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
this is something we're gonna ask on.
Yeah, cause I would think that if you scope something out, right, so this is out of scope work, right? So if you went back to whoever's doing the grant.
I mean,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and we're
Yeah.
gonna put that in place.
Yeah.
But like down at the boat ramp right now, it's one of the NERDA grants.
Mm.
There's so much stuff that we're getting done, but
Yeah,
there's
my
stuff
company
that's not
does a lot of
getting
work for the
done.
government as well, so we
It doesn't
often
make
have
sense
to
to me at
go
all.
back and.
And I'm in agreement
right,
with y'all, it
so
doesn't
out
make
of scope,
sense, but
yeah.
we're gonna shoot forward with it, and I think we're on the same page.
Well, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll commit here today that on those water meters, if we go up on technology and we can only afford to do a certain number of them, I'm gonna take care of the citizens of Port St. Joe before we take care of our customer base outside of Port St. Joe.
Oh,
So if we have to
that's-
drive around and read meters, we'll do that outside of town, but in
Yes.
town, there's technology where you can put an antenna on City Hall.
Is
Not
that-
transmission.
Exactly.
Yes.
How about, you still missing Avenue G on that, I
No,
noticed
it
you got.
should be on there. He has.
No, he has,
It is, I'm sorry, I just didn't mention, but yes, there is.
yeah, cause you ain't got it in writing there, we.
Yeah, yeah. You want me to pencil it in? please?
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Hold on, Mike.
Well, with that, I'd like to go through the handout number one you have on your desk, is basically the water fund. And as you know, we presented you a balanced water fund at the last budget meeting. This is balanced as well, but we have a couple of changes. So on the third page, it's water fund. We talked about the, it's actually page 4, it's listed as page 4, but it's the third page. You had the water fund, employee salaries, employee merit raises, the state retirement, the health insurance. We've adjusted that health insurance number to cap it at 705, so the employees will cover the increase to the health insurance. We've reduced the liability and workers' comp insurance based on the lower $220,000 bid that we received for the workers' comp and liability insurance.
What's the name of that company again?
Jim, what's the name
For the
of that?
record.
Pidgeot.
Preferred government is.
Okay.
Preferred governmental insurance
Well, I
trust.
appreciate that, Pete.
And then the water fund utility rate increase. The only new items in the budget are highlighted there in yellow. We added that $450,000 FDOT Long Avenue grant. And we added the $100,000 in escrow for the water meter replacement. So that $100,000 was the $40,000 from last year's budget and the $60,000 this year that we escrowed into our contingency fund to pay for water membrane replacement. We've replaced those $92,000 in water membrane. We paid for that out of our operating. We have not moved that $100,000 in contingency back into our operating. So that $100,000 is still sitting there.
So just to be clear, Mike, we have one new set of membranes now. We are getting another set next fiscal year.
In this budget, we do have a set in this fiscal budget that we're working to approve now.
And
So
you still believe in the following 2 years, we can get 2 more sets?
yes, we would be able to continue on the same plan we're on, 4-year complete replacement. And in this budget that we're trying to approve today, we'd have to be halfway there. So yes, it is.
Correct me, but, so we do have the $100,000 above.
We do have the $100,000.
But is it gonna go to those this year and it's gonna be a wash, or?
Well, we're talking about not using it for this year and rolling it into next year's budget for water meter replacement.
Okay.
And so we'll show you that on the next page, where we have the total funds that we've tried to cobble together to do a water meter replacement, along with, we still have the funds in place for the membrane replacement to continue on over the 4-year path.
Well, Mike, I talked to Jim prior to this meeting about, let's look into the possibility. I do not know the laws on this particular, but affluent enterprise funds, the wastewater benefits from those water meters, that's how they bill. Water department definitely benefits from water meters, that's how they bill. Is there any way to take money out of both enterprise funds to pay for water meters? I'd love for you guys to look into that. It gives us more to play with.
It's something we could look at, certainly. I don't know if that's a possibility or not.
Well, it's never been favorable.
But we have a plan.
Here, so we need to look into
Let's look
it,
into
because
it.
I've asked this question for years.
Why don't we go on to the next page, and that's where we lay out that plan to replace the water meter. So it's water meter replacement. In option 1, these items were in the budget. The $66,000 for water system improvement, the $54,000 for water meters, and we currently have $41,516 in this year's budget for water system improvements. So we'd like to escrow the $41,000 that we have in this year's budget and use the $100,000 that we already have escrowed for membrane replacement to come up with a $260,000 available for us to use in this next budget to start a 3-year plan of water meter replacement. And in order to show you the numbers, we did get an estimate from Consolidated Pipe on 3,500 water meters and the associated software in order to replace a complete system. And that total is $624,000. And again, this is just an example. We certainly can go back and look at the technology, look at different vendors, and try to drive that number down. But we needed a starting point to look at the numbers to see whether we can make it work.
Guys, I imagine that will come down once we go out for a competitive bid.
Well, bear in mind, the number we're using is only for a register. This is not a complete meter, so that number is going to go up.
And guys, we're not in that position yet to be spending this kind of money, I don't think.
Well, the concerns that we have is, as you're well aware of, is the number of stop-loss reports and error reports we have in our existing meter systems.
And I agree with that.
And the fact that we're running out of warranty on our existing meters. John, do you want to speak to that?
I certainly can. I mean, we began this back in 2005. We went out for competitive bids. AMR technology's been around since the 90s. Master Meter, which is subsequently who we're with now, was the pioneer in that resource. Lots of others have came into fruition and followed in recent years. But at the time, we made a commitment and we went with Master Meter because they were the front leader of the technology. Now, that was 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So their technology has changed as well. So in looking at the replacement, where we fell back to was, okay, we've made a commitment, we spent a lot of money into that, so, what do you have, Master Meter, that, we can put or equip our meters with. And we went through the retrofit kits in the beginning, and that was just a disaster. You know, Master Meter actually came in and replaced all that for free for us when we were trying to do a hybrid between the census meters and, you know, their registers. So this is where we're at today. You know, they came in with a newer technology register that has a much stronger and better, you know, battery life, you know, signal strength features and things such as that we use that we currently are seeing fail. You know, most of the meters themselves, you know, the 3G technology, which is the automatic reading when we drive through, you know, that's what we're seeing on the skip meter reports that don't work. We also have a lot of them where just a function or a portion of that meter, such as the data log, is failed. You know, these are all just separate components. So, you know, they do still have odometers on them. So even if we can't read it, you know, electronically, you can still manually go up and see what that reading is. So a blank LCD screen is blank. I mean, that's all I can say. That's one of the reasons why we went with that technology. You had a redundancy. You had that redundancy built into it. So that's how we arrived at the 145 per register. The bodies that Master Meter constructed are built on a 30-year lifespan, and we're 11 years into that.
So you're not getting mechanical failures?
No, we're getting electronic failures.
Okay.
And that's been the norm.
But the results are the same, am I correct?
Any AMR that you, I don't care who it is, you know, you can do the research. They all have their own problems. They all have their own issues. You know, Master Meters are capable of, you know, telemetry, you know, self-reading. It's just, you know, you can't afford the system. You know, in town, you could probably get rid of 1, maybe 2 towers. Other than that, we sprawl. I mean, we're the southern half of Gulf County, so you need multiple antennas, repeaters, the whole 9 yards. And at the time when we did the research, because we did, it was just too expensive. So economically speaking, you know, this is what we put together in the staff level. It says this, you know, we can get the most out of what we currently have invested.
So the other thoughts behind that would be for us to be able to replace our entire system over a 3-year period, and us do a complete inventory of our system, reworking our Munis system, ensuring that we have the correct billing. We've got all the meters, so we're physically going out through our system, doing an inventory, updating our computer system with meters that we're confident in, that we're collecting all of the revenues that we can to maximize the revenues in this period where we're seeing growth coming. We're seeing positive things happen. Let's make sure that we have the correct inventory in our computer system. We've got functional meters in the ground, and replace it all in a 3-year period, and have all of our meters under warranty. Then we'll have a 7-year break before we have a warranty issue with our meters. So 3-year period, bite the bullet, replace our system, do a complete system inventory, and then have 7 years to work towards the next rework of our meter system.
Can I say something before you go? And I don't want to interrupt you, and I won't say anything more, but I wanted to speak to this board and the people out here. I'm not a mathematician, but we're looking at spending over a 3-year period, how much money is it going to cost?
$620,000.
And the citizens of our community have bit the bullet, paying for a $17 million work plant.
We're still paying for it.
And we're still paying for it. We're gonna go up 2.75% because of the rate study we had, and I've never been for it, but I don't wanna bankrupt the city, and I'm trying to just be smart and just, you know what, guys, I'm sorry, I'm paying it just like you are. But to take, I don't know how to do it, you're the finance guy, can we look at somehow, take that 2.75 and work out something to where when we replace these, that it could possibly be a wash? Because at this point, the damn prices are never gonna come down. I've been trying to get the prices down on our water since I got on this board, and I beat my head up against the wall.
We have done a great job through our rate study process.
And I don't disagree with
pushing
that,
the rates
I'm just
down.
saying, now we're adding more to it.
Right, we certainly need to, we're working this within our framework. We're not adding any additional debt, certainly. But we need to prepare for another rate study. And we need to bring those guys back in 2019 and do exactly as you're saying, do everything we can to try to push rates down for our citizens. We're all in the same boat. We all pay the same rates, but we have significant debt, $20,000 in significant debt, that we have to make sure that we're fiscally responsible to our citizens in covering our debt obligation. And we've done that. We've pushed the rates down every time we brought the rate study back in. We need to continue on that path of fiscal planning over 5 years, 10-year period to ensure that we're covering our debt obligations and pushing down our debt.
I don't mean to interrupt you neither, but you say we're paying the same rate. We're paying the same rate, but we're not getting the same service in a sense. You know what I mean? On the north side, we're not really getting the same service that, you know, everyone else is getting. We've been working with inaccurate pipes and everything else.
Well, we're one step away, hopefully, from having 100%
I understand
completion
that,
on it.
but you have to still understand where we're coming from also.
Sure.
You know,
I think, what we,
you can't even drink water and then you halfway scared the babies in it because you get ashy up when you're bathing.
Exactly, so it's almost
It's
like
hard
the
water.
citizens in Northport St. Joe, there's an extra cost being added to us. Because not only are we paying this excessive rate in which the gentleman over there has indicated, but then you have an actual cost for drinking water. Because, and that's a high cost that senior citizens, retired individuals are paying each and every day, month or whatever, to a community that's already depleted as far as financial resources are concerned.
And if people ain't buying bottled water and stuff like that, they're around here dying from cancer.
Yeah, if they don't do it, so there's a health,
It's a health problem too.
Yes.
Sure.
We certainly have done it. We're continuing on with the process of changing out our filters and systems, improve the quality of water, ensure we're producing quality water. We know we've had network problems with our network. We're continuing to change our lines in the ground to make sure that quality water is getting to customers' houses. So we're moving along in that process, and this is
And
just
if I
another
could,
piece
let
of
me
it.
say this for the crowd, I didn't mean to open up Pandora's box on this. This
You
is
did,
my
you
finance-
did.
No, it was already
My finance
in
guy,
It was already
he
there.
got
No, no, no.
these answers, he really does.
It was already here.
But you know what? We think on the same lines. We're all for the betterment of the community. I don't care if you're red, what, yellow, black, or white. I'm gonna do what's right for all citizens of our community. In my heart, I feel like it's the best thing. And- But this is Mike, and he's our finance guy, and he's a heck of a good one, and I didn't mean to put him in the line of fire.
So you ain't no line of fire. I just happen to just want to keep it fresh in mind.
I'm with you, brother.
But by moving forward with this plan to replace the meters, we would be ensuring we're driving our revenues in the right direction, and we bring our rate study consultants in a year or two, and we have that positive movement in our revenue will help us push down our rates if the growth continues.
If we've got over 400 meters that have to be manually read, that's real man hours that we're paying somebody to go out and manually read these meters. Will this 261 replace all the error messages that we currently have? Or not even touch it?
Well, here's what my thinking is on this, because, you know, the way our system is sprawled, as we talked about earlier, we looked at initially, we're gonna take care of town first. Okay, so that's gonna basically free up 1,300 registers. Some of which we know work, some of which we know don't work. Now, we would have to go through those, via the electronic system and determine which ones those are. So let's assume it's 50%. Suddenly we have 650, if it is in fact 50%, that we could go back out through our system and replace the ones that we know have failed as well. So we still have a product that we can use, might be on year 2 and year 3 before those get replaced. But each year we do this, we free up product that's still, it could be functioning.
My question is this enough product to cover our error messages for 400?
We don't know by route where all of those error messages lie.
Well, they're in every route.
So we have to go back, we'd have to workshop. If we agreed to this moving forward, we would definitely need to workshop, to review the routes, to review that.
So if we bought 400 meters and we replaced 400 meters in town, we don't know how many good meters we're gonna get out of that, is what you're telling me.
We have to
We
check.
assume.
You have to break it down.
I got
We
you.
assume the assumption's 50%, and that's just a number. It could be 80, it could be, 30, I don't know. It's not that high. We know out of 3,500 meters, we have 400 that, have issues reading electronically. We also know there's a number above that have issues with data logging and that function. So, again, assuming it's 50%, we replace all of town, it should technically free up 650 meters. If we have 400 built now, then you can assume we'll have 200 and something left over.
It's a process, because they're gonna continue to quit too. We know what we have right now, but they're gonna continue to fail. Probably more of a rapid pace, probably.
You think technology's gotten better, John?
It definitely, I mean, it's gotten better all the way around for the company.
And I
we use,
agree, we
plus
need
others.
to do it, I
And-
just wanna kind of maybe phase it or something.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to get you away from this master company. I'm saying if they have something
Absolutely not.
available that's similar to everyone else out there, then let's try to. make
It may
better
not hurt
service.
to, it may not hurt to put feelers out and see who was where. I'm not saying that at all. Perhaps we should be thinking along those lines. Might find one for $120.
I mean, I'm leaning here to go with option one, but let's look at the cost important part of that. Let's go out there and see what the new technology we're.
And I think the important thing on this is just if we can tag the money, we can figure out what we want to do afterwards. And we can go any direction the board would like to go.
I'm going to put the money in, but let's look at the end result.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, sir. Benny Roberts. I, ran the water plant for 18 years. As a commissioner. We didn't have one of those guys, kept up with, so everybody had those departments. So I want a lot of sewer company. 18 years. I want a lot of water. My problem is this, what you're talking about. We've been through this merry-go-rounds all the way around and back again. Technology out in Arizona County. Been doing this a long time. Pneumatic instruments, people don't understand that. That means air pressure runs all of the instruments. You need air pressure. Technology come along. That's what y'all talking about. Y'all keep talking about that technology. Okay, we had instrument people that could fix anything. It was in that thing. All of a sudden, we didn't have any people no more. The instruments they were buying were electric. Well, you're talking millivolts, you're talking things that, potentiometers, you're talking about things they ain't never seen before. So they had to catch up, and they had to because technology kept out running. Now, what you gotta watch, and I was on the board, and we went with the first automatic meters, read them down the road. But the guy warned me, he said, let me tell you something about automatics. He said, first place, you don't watch yourself, you're gonna end up with 400 different kinds. You got 500 water meters and 400 are different kinds. So that means that you're going to have to deal with 400 people if you can't fix it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? Now, that's where you second place it, all right? And I'm gonna go way back to Bobby Blair. He worked with us right there, didn't he? And John ain't gonna like this, but here's the way we used to work that. We had trouble with water meters knowing if they were bad, If they weren't bad, we sent them off, we had to pay freight back, because sending no back, ain't nothing wrong with it. So we weren't ingenious and we weren't brain conservatives, but we put us a 55-gallon drum up there and we put a scales underneath. And we got down on our boots and figured out water weighed 8.34 pounds an hour, pound per gallon. And then that's at 62 degrees Fahrenheit. And we figured out we could put that water meter in a line that we questioned and run it on that scales. And we used a good word 10, because 10 is easy to multiply. We were dumb. So we multiplied that by 10, and we would crank that water meter up, turned it on, let it go through, and when they put that 10 gallons in that thing, when we looked at the water meter, if it was on the money, put it back in. It took us 30, 40 minutes, But that was ingenuity. That's all we had to do. So we didn't have to send off the water meter. Back then, they were old manual jobs, and they had pellets, and they tend to plug up. We had a lot of crud in our water, and it would build up on it. That had to be clean. But all I'm warning you is, I worked at a chemical plant that ain't that no more. It's just a little piece. Technology will kill you. It'll help you out to start with, because we didn't have to run around. So we just drove down Main Street and pushed the button, and it read everything for us. Might not have been right, but it read it. In fact, if anybody got a high water bill, it was wrong. It had to be wrong. Had to be wrong. And I actually went about, probably in my lifetime, 500 water calls. And I never found a water meter that was wrong. Never. Almost found one house in Oak Brook. That guy called me and it had, inside the glass, solid water droplets. You know, condensate lit up on. I called Bobby Claire and I was getting on him by his side. He said, what's the matter? I said, you can't read that water meter. He says, I can't. He took a screwdriver out, tapped it, and all that water disappeared. He said, what's the water meter? So, didn't try to correct Bobby no more. But all I'm telling you, if you want to technology this thing out, you might make it, they might make it easier on you to start on the bid. But they're gonna get their money later. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benny, thank you. You know, sometimes I think we need to listen to the old timers.
Thank you.
And I don't mean you're an old timer, but you've been around and I appreciate your service.
Well, I appreciate you, appreciate it.
So certainly back to the budget then, the staff's recommendation is to move forward with the current balanced budget with the continuation of the filter replacement of the water plant and option 1, the water meter replacement over a 3-year period.
Okay, just a quick question. When does that 3-year period begin?
It would be October 1, we would start the process
just
of
October
requesting
1st.
bidding and moving forward.
Okay.
And then the rest of the packet 1 is the detail on the water revenues and the expenses by department, if anybody has any questions. Any item highlighted in yellow was one that was changed marginally from the last, or we discussed here today. So everyone's happy with that proposal?
I'm not happy.
Oh, we're not having it.
None of us are happy, but, yeah.
I'm not happy.
Well,
But I appreciate the hard work that you and all the staff put into it.
well, we think it's a
I would
start.
like to be able to drop taxes. I'd like to be able to drop water bills. And maybe one day we'll figure out how to do that. But hey, I appreciate it and it is what it is. And yes, I'm willing to go with this.
Commissioner, bottom line is that the money's there, but we ain't gotta go any route, you know?
I think we're as good as it's gonna get and I appreciate our staff. And, you know, I just wish we had 500 new homes coming in. It is what it is.
The second handout is a recap of where we are on all the funds. That's page 7. And so with that, then we just go over, we're happy where we are with the solid waste and the wastewater. We don't have any significant changes there. And so that brings us back to the general fund. And you can see we were at a $69,000 deficit, and then we made changes along the way, and so we're still sitting at a $12,256 shortfall in the general fund, and we'd like to try to bring that.
Can you give us just a minute to go through this?
Yes.
I mean, I've gone through the older ones, I just wanna see what's
Yeah.
in revised, if you could just give us
Absolutely.
2 minutes.
Well, and while y'all are looking through, I'll just talk about what I learned down at convention. I spent a long time speaking with Carol Westmoreland, who works for the Florida League of Cities, and she's the alleged expert on CRAs. And I'll tell you, since I've been on this board and even prior through 2 previous directors, it's always been my thought that we did facade grants and we built parks, we made them look better. It's way off base. We can spend that money on infrastructure as long as it's not included in the capital improvement plan, as long as it's within a CRA. I think 2 glaring things that are included within a CRA would be the Washington Gym. We can pay that out of DSRA money, and the Christmas lights.
That's right.
I would think that would be a quick way to get to 10,000 right there. And then on another page, here it was.
What page?
It's on the main budget, but it's about the permits, and I think you were working with Mike too. But the permitting fees, I think, are kind of low. We've got a building boom going on in Windmark right now. And just looking at the increase year over year, I think we're undercutting that. And I believe you could easily go up 4,000 on the building permits.
Yeah, I spoke to Jim and Mike both, this afternoon, and I think we can, based on what.
I mean, you got a minimum of 15 home sites that we know of.
Yeah.
And probably 30 before the end of next fiscal year.
Based on the Windmark.
Right.
I just don't wanna cost our people though, our local folks, the retired paper mill, retired, are we gonna, where are we at now?
No, what we're saying, we're gonna increase revenue side.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's revenue.
no, see, I'm fine with that, because all that's doing is giving us more money on the budget.
I mean, it's-
DR coming in here and doing what they're gonna do out at Windmark, I'm completely
We
fine
can't
with
put
that.
more houses, more developments.
Hey, I'm okay with that, I was
Yeah, we just know that they're gonna be
So,
there.
so the proposal would be to remove the 5,000 from Washington and, or have DRA revenues coming
Revenues
into that.
supplement that.
Yeah, we're not removing it, we're just gonna
Pay it out
change
of
the way we
the
pay
pot.
for it.
Okay.
There's
that
a lot
makes
more
sense.
money to spend out of PHRA budget.
$10,000 in PSJRA revenue and then adjusting the building department permit revenue by $2,256 to cover the balance.
And I'll let you figure out what to do with $1,000 in surplus.
I got a question on that.
Yes, sir.
As new buildings and contractor side coming in, are we still talking about charging them that $400 a job, that $4,000 charge, am I going up on?
Yeah.
And new construction side coming in?
Yeah, like if you're trying to do community redevelopment,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? So for instance, if we had an urban planner, we know that, Northport St. Joe is dealing with blight, correct? So if we are doing community redevelopment over there, it's not necessarily an incentive to, individuals if the building permit price is gonna be over there. I would think that the city would wanna work with those individuals because it's going to help beautify the city.
And that's one of the things that they talked about down in Orlando as well, is that we can offer incentives to businesses.
Exactly.
They actually
Yeah,
have
that's
a,
something else that comes through the CRA, am I
yeah,
correct?
they actually have a microbrewery grant that they suggest that you put out there.
Yes.
Hey,
Yes.
we have been, and I have to say this, there's a lot of things that we found out that we can do. with
Come to the next
CRA.
PSGRA meeting, it's gonna be fun.
Now, where?
The next CRA meeting,
Oh, when
the
is
First Tuesday in
first
September.
Tuesdays.
first?
Day after Labor Day.
There's gonna be changes to that budget, I believe.
Oh, okay. Oh, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be good.
So with that, then we don't have anything else to present. If the board's fine with those recommendations to balance the general fund, we can certainly move forward with that avenue.
That puts us
That-
about-
I like the ideas, but I think the last, budget meeting, someone suggested that the, commission merit raise could be tweaked a little bit, and you could certainly tweak that and help, instead of giving ourselves a raise, help, try to balance this budget with some of that money. What that is, I mean, if you took the whole, deficit, that we're looking at, 12,000, I kind of did a quick pencil to it, and it would amount to $750 a month, payment for the commissioners instead of 1,000. Which would be still a pretty good increase from 300 to 750. That's a pretty good jump right there, but it's of course less than was put in here, so we could do, whatever, but if the revenues didn't come in on that side, we'd need something to fall back on. So,
Right, that certainly is an option, that's
Yeah.
before the board.
yeah, so,
So put it on the agenda for next meeting, city commission meeting, let's vote on it.
We haven't established
It's a
our
pretty
next
good
budget meeting or next commission meeting.
I mean, we'll have to vote, we'll have to vote on the whole
Yeah.
budget at some point in time, is that correct?
I think 222.
Yeah, yeah, so,
14,
so,
22.
just throwing out other ideas to balance this budget, that's,
Certainly is an option, yes.
so, but I mean, what options are we going with? I guess.
Well, the directive I had was to add $10,000 in DRA revenue and increase the building permit revenue by $2,000 for the anticipated growth in the Windmark development that we hadn't really factored in.
And let that be known that we're not going up on the prices,
No.
we're just increasing.
No,
There is-
absolutely.
There is no price difference,
No.
it's just the revenue side of it.
Yeah, our current year-to-date, I looked at it today, is $21,000 on the building permit. 9,000 of that was related to one project.
And you
So
only budgeted 16.
we're at 16, so theoretically, if you built 9 homes out there, that would cover that, we'd be back to 21. So we'd still be conservative at 18.2 in building permit revenue. So I think it's reasonable, it's conservative. Yes, sir.
I don't know whether you realize it or not, but we had an agreement with the county way back, you know, water. I don't know if y'all remember or not. We took in all the county with water, which I was, and we had an agreement at that time with the county that they would give us $600,000 on a recreation project, and we give them $320,000 to build a house up there where we could all run at the hurricane camp. So we paid them up front. I was here, paid them up front. They took out $330,000, put it in the bank. Sit there for a year and a half. They got the interest off of it, we didn't. Then they finally built McLemore building up there, whatever you call it, you know, where McLemore, you know the building I'm talking about? We paid for that building. The taxpayer of Port St. Joe paid for that building. Keep up $350,000, put everything in. And you couldn't get half a Weevil in there, much less all the St. Joe. But it was supposed to be built for that. Right? They were supposed to give us $600,000 down here on the recreational park. They never gave us anything. They haven't talked about it. Y'all don't even talk about it. They owe us $600,000 is what they owe. Now, a store like the CRA grants you're talking about, you know, you got to have this, you got to have that. We built 2 softball fields out there one time. We got a grant from natural resources. And we put it in there, just problems you keep talking about. Me and Red Gun sat down and figured out how we could take that $36,000, build 2 feet. If we eliminated the bleachers for the tops. They come down here, check it all out, and through said, wait a minute, but where did this other building come from? Well, no, you got to spend all $36,000 on that one field. that was real. But anyway, there's $600,000 up there in the county somewhere. Belongs to us. Now, has anybody ever asked for it?
I ain't never heard
I heard about it.
If anyone-
We're a new board in.
It's in that agreement. You honor that agreement every day.
Who made the agreement? Well, you don't.
I was sitting right here, the mayor decided.
Why didn't you all go feed you the fire and get that money? How many years ago was that?
Well, it was when we took the water. See, we had to agree to this. This was another thing they agreed to. They agreed to. They agreed to not up the water price to anybody in the county higher than what they sold it in the city.
No, I have heard of that interlocal agreement.
Well, that was in that agreement. Well, there was other things. There was a lot of agreements. Stuff was in that agreement, you know. And one of them was they were gonna give us $600,000. But see, we give them we made a mistake. We give them that $320 right quick. They took it and went to build that building. Then we didn't really need an athletic complex out there. But we certainly could have took that $600,000 and put it in an athletic complex or somewhere else. You know, I mean, we could have worked on a lot of gyms, a lot of those. Right. But they owe us $600,000.
Mr. Attorney, can we get a lien on Honeyville?
I don't know, you didn't get a lien on that $4,000 water bill out there at Windmark, did you? I'm getting that lien first.
I got another too that we need to let go for a long time.
All right, let's get back to the.
Hey, I didn't mean that
Subject
part.
at hand.
So the staff doesn't have anything more except to put a schedule at our next meeting? Is that what we're scheduled for the next?
Where we're at is, we're heading towards our first public hearing, which will be on the 14th at 5:01. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to decide if we want to have another workshop, because we need to know exactly what we're going to do before we get to the 14th, because that's the point we need to actually vote on our budget.
The next
So I say
edition?
let's have one more.
I think so, I think you're right there, I think we need to have this one.
I mean, are we still directing staff to go forward with the PS3 10,000 and then 2,000 increase in building permits? So at least we have a zero balance when we get here next time?
Yeah, and I think somebody needs to call our CRA director too, if they haven't already, and let's sit down and maybe have a workshop with him too beforehand. I don't want to just throw him a surprise.
Well, talk to him.
Okay, you have.
Since,
Let's do it anyway, though. I think that would be a very good person.
since Commissioner Lizette brought up the merit raises, does anybody else on this board wish to address that at this time?
Mr. Mayor, I would like for maybe you ask the public to see,
All right.
see what,
On the
I know it's a
There
hot
you go
issue.
first.
It was in the paper and I've got some wrong in the budget.
Commissioners, Mayor, Gary Magnuson. I agree that y'all need a merit increase, but I think going up 420% in one lump sum is ridiculous. If you looked at the last time the fees were increased, that was about 20 years ago. So if you gave yourselves a cost of living increase of 3% a year, that would come out to about $550 for your monthly fees. That would only be an increase of like $14,400, and when you include all the other stuff, less than $20,000. That would free up $50,000 for your budget. Now, to me, that makes a lot of sense. That's all I have to say.
All right. Come on
I'm Greg Johnson, gentleman. Last time I had a discussion up here concerning the increases. I still feel the same way. But I do want to give accolades to staff on thinking forward on these water meters. If 25 years ago, the city commission had set up reserves for the water lines, the sewer lines, and the water meters, we wouldn't be here today with this same problem. Don't fall in that path. Even after we change out all the water meters, please put in your budget an item that will set up a reserve so after 8 or 9 years, we'll have the money in the bank to pay for the new ones. Don't dump it on the citizens that are alive at that time. Hopefully I'll be gone. But don't dump that on them. And now that we have got some of the water lines replaced, let's set up a reserve for that. I got, as Mr. Madison just said, I got $50,000 y'all can put in that reserve today if you'll reduce the items in there for the commissioner's raises. Gentlemen, after that article came out in the paper, y'all talk about your constituents think you need a raise. Well, I can tell you about 50 people that have called me and said they totally agree with me. They stopped me in restaurants, they stopped me at the car wash, they stopped me everywhere. People I don't even know. So gentlemen, I hope you think long and hard before you vote yourself a 400% raise. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I feel very qualified. I worked, let's see, I worked 28 years for $25 a month. Had 2 meetings, that's $12.50 a week. I was sitting up here one night and Cecil Costin was over here and the other lawyer was over here, Billy Joe, and they was arguing, and I had that, I was an hour worker, I punched out. You know, I don't get paid. So I'm up here and I finally said, hey, folks, we got to stop this. They said, what? I said, I punched out, it's cost me $10 an hour to listen to you. And y'all making $75 an hour arguing with each other. Now, this ain't gonna go 2 minutes to the road. You know, but we spent a lot of time. I didn't mind spending the time. You know, it's and I want y'all to take this the wrong way. One fellow calling this not too long ago from he was talking about Washington, and so that don't include y'all. Don't take it. He said he should buy all the politicians what they thought they were worth and so for what they were worth, or instead of what they thought they were. He said you could retire the national debt, you could pay off everything, fight 2 wars, and still have money in the bank. So, you know, and I said this to many people up in McDonald's. This is called a trickle down effect.
I call it the Washington trickle down. It's, you owe me, you owe me. What happened with Mr. Kennedy? He was one of our better presidents. What happened? What did he say? He said, it's not what your country can do for you, he says, what you can do for your country. You know, I worked for that $25 all those years, and I didn't mind at all. But now I jump on my other little thing here, my recreation program. When I left, people in the city hall couldn't keep the books. So they had to hire, where's he at? He had to hire this guy, he's the recreation director. They couldn't keep the books, so they had to take the recreation director. So we ain't had one since, you know. And you know, I used to run programs for old people. I had an artist come in here and paint, teach them how to paint, had about 15, 20 old ladies. They did ceramics. I made arrangements at the schoolhouse. All kind of things going on. Over on the north side gym, we had Tuesdays and Thursdays, we had basketball tournaments for sixth graders. Sixth graders don't have no place to play. They in school, but see, there's no athletic program for sixth graders. I ran sixth graders when I gym from September. Usually my class, we had one fight out there. You checking my memory?
It was with my cousin.
There's your cousin. Hey, when I saw you jump on, I just walked the other way. Because he needed it. But what I'm trying to say is there's no recreation program. You don't even cut the golf course down.
Yeah, we cut it the other day.
I know it. It was half cut and half uncut. We had to wait for money, you know. I had that golf course played. And you know how many people it took to do that. I ain't picking myself on back. Me, one inmate, and Williams, boy. We kept all the rest. We kept all the rest. Now, we don't have any recreation program. Now, I'm not a music fan, but we spend an awful lot of money down there. For very few people. Got me.
Yes, sir.
I know you ain't gonna do nothing. At least you know that.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna put a little article in the paper one day, just to, see if we can't bring back some things for kids. Invest in kids, not adults down there.
We're trying to, with the putt golf, we're trying to get going. You heard about that, didn't you?
Are you gonna do it?
Yes, sir. I got anything.
I mean, you gonna build it?
I'm not with somebody else.
I know that. I'm talking about things that kids can go to and play, like Little League. You watch Little League. When I left down there, there was when I left down there, I had 17 baseball teams. I had 10 softball teams.
But you didn't have soccer.
Oh, everybody wants to play on soccer. It ain't got nothing to do with soccer. It's called 65. It's called $65 for every kid to play. I didn't charge them anything.
Y'all cost me $30 an hour right now.
Well, all I'm saying is, I know you ain't gonna do it, but try. Just think about the ball. Just think about something.
Mr. Petty, thank you.
Yes, sir. Come on up. Okay.
Mindy Kate, I'm probably older than most everybody on this council. Well,
You don't look.
And I'm from the old school of thought that anything that involved the commissions, school boards, councilmen was always done by your civic duty. I'm progressive enough now to know that those days are long gone. Those were different times where you didn't just get calls just because the dog was running loose and the neighbor next door didn't like it. They called their councilman to complain. I know from a personal standpoint that everyone, with the exception of Mr. Patterson, I have talked with on numerous times outside of a regular meeting. It's taken up their time. I feel that what you are doing, since you were elected by the people, it is your job to answer concerns and questions and things like that. I feel that what you do is not often recognized by the community. The number of hours that you do spend on your own time away from your own families. I think that 20 years without having a raise is a bit long. But listening to what Mr. Magnuson presented, I do feel that COLA raise being at a 3% 3.2, which is mostly what cost of living raises are given, whether it be any kind of state assistance, Social Security, etc., seems very fair. And I also support the fact that it would give additional money into the budget. So as far as my view would be, I feel that that would be a kind of an agreement and a meeting everybody in the middle for raises, but you definitely do deserve raises.
Anyone else? Come on up.
No disrespect to Mr. Benny with the wind farm project. They was talking about the wind farm. Actually, the problem with that was greed. It was greed. They thought that it was gonna be a whole bunch of houses out there doing the boom. So the council that was sitting up there during that time wanted to hurry up and make an agreement because they thought that a bunch of money was coming in. It didn't happen like that. But you already gonna pay the piper before you got up there to play his music. It's too late now. Should've listened to the music, then get in the paper, you know. But basically, what I got into looking at it, being a commissioner at the time, looking through it, because I was very frustrated when I found out that they gave them $350,000 to help build that center up in Wego, where we needed help right here in St. Joe. But it was all based on, they thought they was gonna get a whole bunch of houses built right there, and the bottom fell out. Now, to the meters. Why we just can't stick with the old fashioned way? When I was coming up, I seen 2 people reading the meter, and we had a lot more people living in St. Joe then than we have now. One guy was on the truck, the other guy took a metal rod, walked out to the meter, opened it up, looked at it, he hollered out the number, 635892. The guy wrote it down and went to the next one. And you didn't have all those people calling up here and talking about the water bill too high. Because they did the old fashioned way. Now everything new ain't good. It's just, I mean, it was 2 guys did the meter. One of them had one arm. So they ran the meters. So that's all I have to say about the meters right now. I don't like to mash the button and you get all that. You know, I don't get along with that. I'd rather for somebody to look at the meter, read it, write it down. You know, that don't cost much. You know, and it's just that simple. Get them a little Ranger truck. Ain't got to get no big old 350 miles diesel truck for them to do it. Just a little small truck. And that's their job. Matter of fact, give them a golf cart. It's that job. Just ride around and read the meter. That problem fixed already. But you guys having a raise, I don't see nothing wrong with that. I don't agree with giving you all of it at one time, but you do need a raise. The way the system was set up in the past, everybody who sat on that board either blown that bill. Paper mill, agricultural chemical, basic, those guys didn't need the money. They was already making top pay for the city of St. Joe. So they didn't need the money. All they wanted was the power. Now that we got everyday people sitting up here, you guys need a job. I've been saying this a long time ago. Give yourself a raise. But just be careful how you give yourself a raise. You don't want to make it look like greed. You need a raise, but don't make yourself look greedy. Because greed will take you down. And that's what the biggest problem right now, what I'm hearing like with the real market, it turn out with greed. Let's take our time. We go down there, we'll take care of everything. We run down there too fast, we're gonna miss something. Just that simple.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak? Come on up. You ain't coming up. You just moving around.
Well, with that, with the board's direction, we'll present the options that, to balance the budget to September 14th meeting.
And let's look at what it amounts to with us, you know, the smaller raise. I want to see all of it.
Okay.
If, options, I mean.
So 2 options.
Just like you did with the,
Okay.
water meter.
Yes, sir.
And you know, I don't know if people understand how much time sometimes this job takes. And I know if you just want to be sitting back and come up into this city hall every now and then signing paperwork, well, yeah, you ain't got no time invested.
And that's what was happening in the past, I guarantee you can ask anyone who's speaking here. But I'm in the neighborhoods. I ride the streets early in the mornings, I ride the alleyways, and I'm not just on that side of town, I'm on this side of town. Looking, seeing what I can do to improve this city. And I've had several people clean up lots. I even went after the Catholic Church. Cause nobody's too big, I went after our other friend, the big giant. You know? And I do things. I've been out of town for a whole weekend with some of my constituents that's here today. Because they wanted me to go with them to help them get things accomplished that they needed accomplished. So that was a weekend. This Saturday, I'm gonna spend 4, 5, 6 hours with them. I don't know exactly how long. I don't mind doing it, because this will be for a good thing. So, do we deserve a raise? Yes, we do deserve a raise. Do we deserve as much as we first asked for? That's a question. That's something we can look at and come up with. But for somebody to stand here and tell me I don't deserve a raise, like I heard last time, maybe they say you don't deserve that much of a raise, I can't remember. But that's wrong in my book. Unless you sit up here and actually do the job. And I don't mean just sit up here and be a commissioner. I mean be a working commissioner. I know you're a real working commissioner, Mr. Benny, I know that.
Well, I got you one question. You know, I ran 14 times, so I know about running. So what I'm trying to tell you is, you depend on those good people that vote for you. Put you in office. Why don't we have a mandated referendum? Let your constituents say whether you get a raise or not.
Right.
Oh, boy, you know,
Oh, now, county was good at having unmandated, and we had one time, you know, alcohol, it was unmandated, so it don't count. So, but make it mandated. If you trust them to elect you, trust them to tell you where you're supposed to get a raise. Or put 3 raises in there, put this one, this one, this one, let them pick which one they want, you know. But at least in the old charter of this city, before some politicians destroyed it, the old parliament changed it back. It said this on the bottom. It said, a commissioner shall receive $25 a month, paid monthly. At the end of the year, this is our old fellow, at the end of the year, if there was any money in the bank, give him 25, that's $600 a year. Then it said up down the bottom, see, our forefathers were smart. It said, under no circumstances will a city commissioner ever make over $50 a month.
How much was gas back then, you reckon?
I don't know.
It wasn't as bad as it is today.
Oh, no.
I ain't letting you.
But I know I had to punch out and punch in over here, so don't tell me about that.
And when I ride
I didn't
around-
chase bugs, I didn't punch a clock.
Are we to discussion yet, or are you still asking?
Oh, you can write me.
Well, I wasn't quite through with mine, but.
Go ahead, I want you to finish, because I have to use the restroom, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
But, you know,
Have a referendum.
if you get out and do work, it does cost you money. It costs me gas, it costs me time. What is my time worth? Well, you know, I'm a public servant. I'm here to help every citizen in this town that I can. When they need help, I say, call me. If I can help you, I will. If I can, I can, but I'll try. I'll go to bat for you. And, you know, so, you know, we deserve a raise. How much, that's questionable. And I think we can work out whatever the best thing is for everybody. I think we just need to talk about it.
Let your constituents tell you.
Certainly staff agrees, and we'd be happy to present a couple of options at the next meeting.
That's very good.
You know, I just want to ask a question. What do you call a rich man that tells a poor man he don't need a raise? Y'all figure that out over the next week and let me know what your thoughts are, because I'm gonna tell you something. There's been a lot of talk about past commissioners. I ran, a lot of the reason was because they come and they tell you everything you want to hear. 3 weeks after they get elected, you call them, and they won't even answer your phone call. I'm 24/7. If you need me, you call me. There's a lady right now that I'll bring to the next meeting if you want to, when the city couldn't undo her sewer pipes. I was out there with a water hose out there and a nipple on the bottom of it trying to undo it.
Welcome to the
So
club.
you're not the only one, Mr. Benny, that's ever done their hard way, but we're not living in the 50s anymore.
Thank you. I got you. But that water line, that fluid line is just the same.
Just plug.
So
just
you know
plug.
what? And back to why it said $50 and all this, you want me to tell y'all why? Why I think it was $50?
Yeah.
It's so that the little man didn't have a say.
Yes.
The people that had the money could come up here and rule this city and run it in the ground and ride on the taxpayer's ass
Hey,
for all those
I
years.
wasn't a rich man, I worked for the.
You look back 8 years ago and see how much money this city had.
Yeah.
So
8 years ago, you look, and tell me where all that money went. When I left this city, there was $3 million in the bank over there.
I think it was
We
more
run a
than that.
tight budget.
Probably more than that, but y'all sold this up to
It took them
Windmark.
about 2 years to run through it. Johnny Lynn.
Anyway, I'm done. Yeah.
So we need to set the next meeting.
I bought you block just
then.
like you did, son.
So we need to set the next meeting then, and we'll present some options. to you.
Yeah.
Do we want to have another workshop before we go to the 14th?
I think we might. What y'all think?
Yeah.
When can we have it? Let's set it.
We can do that.
Mr. Mayor?
We meet.
Yes, sir. Well, wait a minute, let us get this date set.
Our next regular meeting is 5th, which is, let's see, we don't have a meeting next week. Do we want to meet next week, or do we want to go before our regular
If
meeting?
we do it next week, it has to be 4 Thursday, I want LSU Alabama game.
I'll be there too.
Y'all want to do next Tuesday at noon?
I thought you was dedicated to this place. I am, I'm dedicated to my Seminoles too.
What day is that?
Well,
Wrong time.
hey, they'll give you a raise. Right.
29th.
When is it,
What's the
29th?
date?
29th, next Tuesday. Commissioner Lowry said he can't.
Hey,
What about before the 5th, the meeting on the 5th?
well, that's,
Well, you have a, what time the TSJRA meeting start?
4:30.
Do you want to try to do 5:30, give us 30 minutes before that meeting? Is that enough?
We don't have a PSDRA.
On the
yeah,
field,
first meeting we did.
4:30. What about
5:15.
noon on the fifth? For a
Well, if
workshop.
we're gonna do it on the 5th, or do we have other meetings on the 5th?
You have a
Yeah.
TSJRA
So
meeting.
let's, why don't we do
Yeah.
it like 4:30?
On 3:30.
PSJRA.
3:30 or 4?
So let's do it 3:30.
Before Labor Day.
Just do it all at one time, what I'm saying, get it out of the way.
Fifth, right.
However y'all wanna do it.
Yeah, Tuesday's good.
Yeah,
June
so
5th, at what time?
Your TSJ meeting starts at what time?
4:30, so let's do before that.
You want to do it before?
We
Okay.
need an hour or don't need an hour?
So, you know,
Well, it took an hour today.
We'll meet at, 3:30 out of Garrison.
3:30 on the 5th.
On the 5th, okay?
That's it?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say that, you know, I agree y'all do need an increase. I consider myself a civil servant to a certain extent. I'm chairman of the Florida Scholar Music Festival. I get paid $0. I'm chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I get paid $0. I'm the chairman of the Port Authority of Port St. Joe. I get paid $0. So I spend at least 30 hours a week dealing with those situations. So I know how valuable time is, and mine is too. Thank you.
I would be glad to change your financials for mine. And I would be the same way.
I worked hard all my life.
I'm not saying you didn't.
Mr. Mayor, I am
I'm
tired of this. I'm tired of you trying to pit people that have worked hard all their life. Mr. Thursby, I think he was regarded, not saying what he's saying towards me, and I disapprove of that.
You're not the only one.
Okay,
Those
but
who-
so what? Do you know that I lived in subsidized housing all my life till I was 18? No, you don't. Do you know that anything that I ever got in my life, I worked for? All I was ever given was a chance. Do you know that I worked 5 days a week going through high school? No, you don't know that. And do you know that every Saturday and Sunday I planted pine trees in Washington County? I did. Why? Because I wanted to advance myself.
And you did a good job.
All right, then don't be saying for those people that are rich people. I've got a little money.
For you to
I've
be
got a nice
upright
house.
as you are, you must have a guilty conscience. All I got to tell you.
I ain't got a guilty conscience.
Well,
but you should. I
I
don't.
don't.
You even brought it up in here too about the golden spoon. That was uncalled for.
It was true.
No, it's not.
Yes, it's true.
You were directing that at
How do you
Mr.
know I
Bissett.
directed to that?
Because you looked at it.
Well, you must know he's got a silver spoon then.
No, sir. I know that Mr. Bissett paid good money for that drugstore he had. I saw the note and mortgage that he gave his daddy, and his daddy didn't give him a deal. He sold it to him at market value. He works 60 hours a week. You think you call that a golden spoon? No, I don't, and I'm tired of hearing it up here. Y'all need to change your tone.
Well, I feel like by raising the salary, not to maybe what we want, at least we give ordinary people in this town a chance to run for this commission, because they won't run it for 300. And there's very good people out there that would make very good commissioners.
You're gonna see them next time. You're gonna have to line them up. How many can you qualify in one group? You might
Hey,
have to,
Benny,
you
I'm
might better check
worried
your
about
life.
that. I mean, if somebody comes and the people don't want me as mayor, I'll go sit down.
I didn't come.
I'm not gonna
say
cry if
that.
I'm not
Make
mayor.
sure.
I love being mayor, don't get me
You
wrong.
can't commit to that.
But I'm not gonna cry if I'm not mayor.
Yeah, and
So
I
if
see
somebody
why.
comes up and beat me, so
Go
be
ahead,
it.
every single person in this, so don't
So,
flatter
so
yourself.
all I'm saying is, now you accuse me of being rich, okay?
All right, anybody else have anything to say before we?
I wasn't rich when you were running. That's for sure.
I pray we're on our way out the door.
Yeah,
It
okay.
confused. Chester Davis, pastor, who's at Firm Baptist Church and president of the PAC coalition. One of the things that we also have not considered in all our conversations is how we can equalize our representation from the whole city. I'm saying that simply because my blighted community has been ignored for so many years. I'm praying that when we come to these meetings that we will always consider Port St. Joe as a whole. Rich, poor, black, white, or whatever. We need to consider one another. Sometimes when we get before each other and we start sizing one another up because of background issues or whatever, I think we mess around and we lose the plight of our city, how we need to grow. Especially when we come to our city council meeting. It's very important that we work one with the other. And if we don't do that, we hurt ourselves. And the accusations that are made sometimes, it only kills the joy of being a citizen in this city. We need to work together. We really need to work together. We're having our CDC meeting for North Port St. Joe Saturday. We asked all the commissioners to be there for the purpose of understanding how we're going to employ the CDC with Big Ben. Very important that we show the city exactly what we're trying to do for North Port St. Joe. But my goal in being the president of that is that it not be just North Port St. Joe, it be Port St. Joe. And I think we cannot, and we'll not be able to accomplish that if we're sitting there bickering and lying and fighting each other for some of the goals that we need to do in Port St. Joe as a whole. There's so much that can be done by all of us. And if we sit there and stab each other and fight each other, we're not going to accomplish that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chester, where's that meeting at?
It's going to be on 98 at the Goodwill, not Goodwill, the Health Center. Right here on Black Avenue.
Wellness.
Wellness Center. Yes, ma'am.
I was in attendance at the last city council meeting, and I went away extremely disturbed by some of the remarks and some of the actions. Being here today at the end of this meeting has just reinforced that. We have enough division in this country, especially with a number of recent events, and there's division between the north side and the south side. We do not need it in this council at all. And as far as silver spoons, gold spoons, whatever, well, I just got my tax bill and my property tax is projected to be $8,000 a year. So I feel that that gives me the right to express my concerns about how the town is being run. I love the city. But as far as for me, my father never made more than $18,000 a year. He stood in red lines, he worked in WW2. I earned every single penny of that. And it was through wise investments and discipline. And to have anyone say to anyone else and judge them on what they have achieved in their lifetime, shame on you. You need to all get along. How can you represent us? And if any of you think with this kind of action you'll ever be reelected, you are sorely wrong.
Thank you, ma'am.
Certainly staff has the direction. We need to move forward to present you with your options for that September 5th at 3:30 for the next budget meeting.
Sounds good. Thank y'all so much for all the hard work you put into it, Mike, Jim.
Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for coming too.
We don't have anything for a while.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. So moved.